Right now, nuclear weapons are returning to Europe. Finland is delivering a powerful blow to Russia. Putin is in depression. He definitely did not expect this. The pressure on Moscow is growing with every passing day. Russians are no longer welcome in Finland. New restrictions for the occupiers when crossing the border. Finland is turning away from Russia and helping Ukraine. The weapons everyone has been waiting for will change the game. The atmosphere in Europe is heating up to the boiling point. Russia is isolated and frightened. Let's talk about it. Hello, this is Ukraine Today. Maria Farafonova here with the latest updates. Another country is bringing back nuclear weapons. Finland plans to cancel the legislative ban on deploying nuclear weapons on its territory. The country's government explains the initiative by the need to strengthen defense after joining NATO and the growing security risks in Europe. Finland's Nuclear Energy Act, adopted in 1987, prohibits the import, production, possession and detonation of nuclear explosive devices on its territory. Some Finns see this as a provision that would benefit only Russia if a war were ever to occur. Although Finland maintained neutrality during the Cold War era, the country joined the NATO military alliance in 2023 in response to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
This amendment is necessary so that Finland can conduct military defense as part of the alliance and fully benefit from NATO's deterrence and collective defense.
Neighboring Sweden, Denmark and Norway have long maintained policies of not deploying nuclear weapons on their territories in peacetime. However, they do not have legislative bans during wartime. Finland's NATO allies, France and Germany, have announced plans to deepen cooperation with European partners in the field of nuclear deterrence. This indicates a shift in policy as Europe faces growing threats from Russia and instability related to the Iranian conflict. The Kremlin criticized Finland's idea and, as usual, is resorted to threats. The press secretary of the ruler of the Russian Federation, Dmitry Peskov, stated that such an initiative by Finland allegedly leads to escalation across the entire European continent.
These are statements that lead to an escalation of tension on the European continent. These are statements that add vulnerability to Finland. Moreover, vulnerability that is provoked by such actions of the Finnish authorities.
Russian passports will not be accepted. Starting in June, Finland will introduce new restrictions for Russian citizens when crossing the border. The country will stop accepting Russian passports without biometric data. Officials emphasize that the goal of the decision is to increase the reliability of accepted travel documents. At the same time, exceptions are provided. Finland will continue to accept non-biometric passports issued to persons under the age of 18. Such documents will also remain valid for those whose residence permit in Finland was issued before June 1, 2026. In these cases, it will be possible to apply for an extension of the residence permit using a non-biometric passport. From June 1 to December 31, 2026, a transitional period will be in effect. During this time, Finland will accept non-biometric passports with a valid visa issued by Finnish authorities before June 1, 2026. Such passports will also be accepted if they contain a visa or residence permit issued before that date by other EU countries or Schengen area states. In addition, the country's diplomatic department reminded that the entry of Russian citizens into Finland is already restricted. In 2022 and 2023, the government adopted decisions prohibiting non-essential travel by Russians to Finland and transit through its territory to other Schengen area countries. Meanwhile, Ukraine and Finland are strengthening cooperation. Ukraine's Ministry of Defense is approaching the final stage of negotiations with Finland on mutual state quality assurance of defense products. This will be the 8th such agreement with NATO countries, which will allow Ukrainian arms manufacturers to integrate faster into the European market, while enabling the state to control the quality of foreign procurements according to alliance standards. At present, Ukraine has already concluded 7 such memorandums with Sweden, the Czech Republic, France, Turkey, Germany, Norway and Poland. Preparations are underway for similar agreements with the United Kingdom, Italy, Denmark, the Netherlands and Slovenia. The memorandum with Finland will define mechanisms of interaction between the defense ministers of the two countries in the field of control and assurance of the quality of defense products during the implementation of foreign economic contracts. This will simplify cooperation procedures between manufacturers, accelerate deliveries and increase the level of trust in the products of Ukraine's defense industrial complex. Within the framework of existing agreements, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine carries out mutual state quality assurance of products under foreign economic contracts with both Ukrainian and foreign manufacturers. This ensures unified approaches to quality control and increases the efficiency of international defense procurement and cooperation.
The implementation of the agreements will increase the authority of domestic manufacturers and the trust of international partners in defense products produced in Ukraine.
Europe is arming itself. Poland will seek to create its own nuclear weapons and deepen cooperation with allies, in particular with France. Potential cooperation with Paris may include joint training and the temporary deployment of French Rafale fighter jets capable of carrying nuclear weapons in other European countries. All the details in the next report.
Countries throughout Europe are currently working to significantly strengthen their nuclear security measures. Poland is preparing a historic alliance with France, which is expected to change the nuclear map of Europe. Prime Minister Donald Tusk stated that Warsaw no longer wants to remain a bystander when it comes to issues of strategic security.
Poland is well aware that the threat from the Russian Federation is quite significant. This threat is primarily due to the Kaliningrad region. This threat is also caused by potential risks coming from the territory of Belarus. And Poland, instead of modernizing and reforming itself like the North Atlantic Alliance NATO, is primarily chasing a placebo effect.
Negotiations on a possible format of cooperation are being held with a number of European countries interested in strengthening collective defense. Earlier, French President Emmanuel Macron proposed expanding the French nuclear deterrence system by opening it up to partners. It is expected that the topic of nuclear cooperation will become one of the key issues at the upcoming summit in Paris.
The number of countries that will want to at least have a base on their territory where the nuclear weapons of France, the United Kingdom, or the United States could be stationed will, of course, increase. And countries like Germany could even afford their own nuclear program and the creation of their own nuclear weapons. Therefore, naturally, the number of such countries will only continue to grow. But I will repeat myself. Nuclear weapons are a destructive tool which, despite all their destructiveness and menace, are nothing more than a placebo effect in a conventional war.
The French initiative provides for various forms of cooperation, from joint exercises and demonstrations of capabilities to the deployment of France's strategic aviation on the territory of its allies. Paris believes that dispersing such forces will undermine the calculations of a potential adversary and strengthen the overall level of Europe's defense.
This is a reputational blow, and it will put pressure on Russia simply by the fact that countries which previously had not considered possessing their own nuclear weapons or hosting nuclear weapons from a third country on their territory are now thinking about it. This is the effect of the entire geopolitical strategy that the Kremlin has chosen in recent times.
For years, Putin has been blackmailing the entire world with the threat of a nuclear strike because he has no other levers of influence left. Earlier, the dictator accused France and the United Kingdom of preparing to transfer nuclear weapons to Ukraine.
The Russian army is suffering defeat in Ukraine, and at the same time, nuclear fever is spreading in Europe, with more and more countries wanting to possess nuclear weapons. This is a complete failure of the Kremlin's entire foreign policy strategy. Of course, this will put reputational pressure on him because the Kremlin will be powerless to counteract it and will be unable to prevent it in any way. All it can do is watch this process unfold.
France possesses the fourth largest nuclear arsenal in the world. Earlier, Macron announced an update to the nuclear doctrine. Paris intends to increase the number of nuclear warheads and will also stop publishing detailed information about its stockpiles.
There are official figures which may be counted in thousands of missiles or in tens or hundreds. But again, all of this is such highly classified information, and only what is advantageous for these governments to reveal ever comes to the surface. No one really knows how many combat-ready warheads each country actually has, and that's very important, combat-ready warheads. How many have been produced, how many are in storage, and how many are on active duty.
Macron also announced that the first French third-generation nuclear missile submarine will set out to sea in 2036.
Ukrainian weapons are tearing Russians apart. In addition, Britain will develop a new deep-strike ballistic missile for Ukraine. All the details in the report.
A new level and scale. Ukraine is currently accelerating the strategic development of its own domestic defense production, together with its international partners and allies. In 4 years, Ukraine has increased its weapons production 35-fold, moving on to high-tech models. Some of the key developments include the Flamingo cruise missiles, the Hrom 2 system, the Neptune anti-ship missiles, and drones. This makes it possible to effectively strike oil refineries, logistics, and the occupiers' headquarters. Ukrainian missiles have long been terrorizing the Russians as they reach deep into Putin's country. The Sapsan missiles pose a serious threat to Russia as they even surpass Atak-AMS in power. More than 500 Ukrainian companies are involved in the development and production of UAVs. Production capacities allow for the manufacture of over 2 million drones per year, including FPV, reconnaissance, and strike systems. Ukraine, together with Germany, is actively developing defense cooperation by creating enterprises for drone production. Just recently, a German company unveiled a new generation of target drones.
The primary and central focus in the large-scale production of these drones will be centered on their significantly low manufacturing cost and the possibility of achieving rapid mass production. It should be noted that, given their tactical and technical characteristics, this could significantly impact the Russian army's ability to redeploy personnel, heavy armored vehicles, and strike assets directly to the line of contact.
And Ukrainian P-1-Sun drones could also close the skies over Dubai. The US and Gulf countries are considering purchasing UAVs to counter Iranian Shaheds, reports the Financial Times. The drones cost several times less than Patriot missiles, so given Iran's large stockpile of drones, the region is looking for more affordable air defense solutions.
At the highest representative level, and we're talking about the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, there was a statement that the Allies are considering involving Ukrainian drone operators through innovative developments by Ukraine's Ukroboronprom to help close the skies over Allied military bases in the Persian Gulf and, accordingly, directly over European countries as well.
Starting in 2026, 10 joint ventures with Ukraine for the production of various types of drones will begin operating in 5 European countries. The United Kingdom will also develop new tactical ballistic missiles that will increase Ukraine's firepower to defend against Russian aggression.
This project provides for the development and, most importantly, the direct implementation and scaling up of production within 12 months. And moreover, missile production will reach up to 10 per month. This will be a serious element of military pressure from the armed forces of Ukraine on the occupying country.
All of this means that Ukrainian developers, together with their partners, are capable of creating high-precision weaponry that destroys important enemy military targets deep behind the lines.
What do you think about the latest events? Share your opinion in the comments, like the video and subscribe to stay informed about the main headlines. See you soon!